Really frightening. I mean, any parents that have just let their children go off to Freshers' Week, this is going to come as a start warning. Alex, you're a third-year student at Glasgow University. You're partying in Glasgow at a nightclub with your friends. This is only on September 11th. This is not that long ago. What do you remember of that night? Because I know after leaving the club, it's all a bit of a blur, but leading up to that.
I remember just, like, going to the club, having a few drinks. It was just the usual night out, dancing with friends. And then towards the end, there was some guy being really creepy, and he had his hands like that, like around me, and I don't know if he said something. It made me freak out. I tried to like get off. He was like holding resistance, and then I managed to get off. I went crying to the staff because like I'm with my friends, and then I think that maybe he might have thought, oh God, she's going to the staff, and kind of just backed off. But I left, went home. Can't remember getting home. I remember getting into my flat. And then my flatmate put me to bed. She said I was being, like, hysteric still then, saying some guy was being horrible in the club, blah, blah, blah. She put me to bed, and then that's all I remember until the next day.
Well, Ellie, I mean, the reason you're here is because you have pieced this story together. You do know a lot more. All of those patchy bits of memory you've been able to fill in. And you say that that Alex is not the sort of person who has a drink and gets weepy and morose.
Not at all.
So
no, it's really
at that
not like
point
her.
already she was acting out of character.
Yeah.
And so then, from your point of view, what happened?
So from what we've heard from passers-by, maybe about an hour after her friends put her to bed, there was a woman's frantic screams for help. Luckily, two men came and passed by, and they seen her like just balancing on her windowsill. She was completely naked, and she was absolutely terrified of what was inside. They thought it was like a sex attack or something she was trying to escape from. One of the boys like bravely tried to climb up and help her, but whatever was inside was just too much, and she either fell or jumped and landed straight on her head.
This is the first floor, so there's a shop underneath, so it's a first floor flat.
Yeah.
So this is a long way, and you landed on your head, and the passers-by, I mean, it's horrific to say, but this is the sound of your head hitting the pavement was something they will never, ever forget. There was blood coming out of your ears. I mean, you're lucky. It's quite unbelievable you're sat here because you are lucky to be alive. What do you believe happened? Because it took you a little while to piece together that it could be that your drink was spiked. Were you tested?
Yeah, I was tested in the hospital, but they didn't do a drug test for that type of drug.
Right.
So I passed the like normal drug test, but they...
Because I think at the time they thought, I mean, you weren't tested for date rape drugs as such, because you hadn't actually been, they didn't think you'd been spiked. They thought that this was some sort of attack that you'd had.
Yeah.
Now these drugs stay in your system between 72 hours, but they can disappear after 12 hours. And so, from your point of view, how long did it take you to piece things together? Actually, hold on a second, this wasn't some sort of terrible attack in the room, that this was something that was invented by her head.
Yeah, well, the police burst open their flat door, obviously expecting to find somebody inside her room, and when they went in, there was nobody. All her flatmates were sound asleep. But one thing that we realised it could have been a hallucination. Her room was tidy when she got put to bed, but everything had been pulled out underneath from her bed. There had been loads of cushions taken down. Her room looked totally ransacked. And it's kind of mirrors on a recent family holiday. Her and my mum were doing that to get, they kept on getting bugs and stuff in the room. So they did this before bed, and
do you
seemed
think,
like the same
both of you,
actions.
having discussed this, do you think, looking back, there was a moment where you think, that's when my drink could have been spiked?
No, not at all.
You have no idea when it could have happened?
I think it might have been the guy that was being creepy at the end, because it's just the way his actions were, but I can't remember him putting anything in my drink or seeing it. I think it just happens so slyly.
Well, Mimi, you're a first-year student at uni in Cornwall, and you don't remember much.
No.
So your memory of what happened, that from others, you've been able to piece it together. What happened to you?
So I had 2 gin and tonics at my flat, and there was a freshers event going on at the university. Got there, I had a drink. I can't even remember the drink that I drank that night. And
did you buy it, or was it bought for you?
Bought
did you
for
leave
me.
it unattended?
No, it was bought for me, and
By a friend?
By someone who, it's an investigation, and I don't want to even think about who, what kind of thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but so I can't remember a thing after that. My best friend who came to uni, she's known me for 10 years, and she found me not being able to move. I was like hysterical, and she took me straight to the paramedics, and I lost my vision. I couldn't move. I had like a serious erratic heart rate and breathing, and yeah, I was taken into hospital, and that's where I woke up to like my mum ringing, saying that she's going to pick me up and take me home.
And really, really frightening for you, sort of piecing
Yeah.
that back together and
Yeah.
wondering what on earth happened.
I cannot remember a thing, and I'm so glad my friend, she stayed with me like all night, and the fact that she knew me and she knew there was something seriously
that
wrong with
something was
me
wrong.
is just that, yeah.
Are you waiting for blood results to
Yeah,
come back?
so we got back, and my mum like phoned the police, they phoned the uni saying this has happened. The police have actually been really great. They've taken like statements and tests, and yeah.
Well, as you say, in a sort of ongoing investigation
Yeah.
here. But in all of your cases, interestingly, you know, there is no great apparent moment where you think, that's when it could have been. And so, therefore, you have to be extra vigilant because it
Yeah.
can happen at any time. So what would your advice be now? So any students that are watching, anyone that's going to go out tonight, what do you do? How do you protect yourself?
It's really difficult because you can't like stare at your drink all night, and it's horrible that you can't trust like people.
Yeah.
But I think just like going out with someone like who has your back, someone who like is going to keep a tab on you, like make sure you're going to leave the club together at the end of the night. And, you know, if you do see anyone like acting, like your friend acting weird, just like go and get medical assistance straight away,
it's
because
straight away, yeah.
Very
it can be
serious.
fatal, and it really like...
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I mean, fatal possibly because of what you've been given, but
Yeah.
also because of
Yeah.
what happens to you once you've taken it, or once it's been put
Yeah.
in your drink. Spiking 10 years plus in prison.
Yeah.
So this is a very, very serious offence.
And what's even more worrying is that both of you have put your stories on social media, and the amount of people that have gone, this
Yeah.
happened to me too. And
Yeah.
that's the frightening thing, actually, how often this is happening and people
And
aren't
a lot of them
reporting it.
didn't go to the police.
Exactly. I think that's why it's so great to raise awareness for this, because there are so many people who have messaged me being like, my story, like girls being like sexually assaulted, boys being mugged, and like the
Yeah.
police haven't done anything about it. And I think it's so important that...
All right, thank you,
Thank you.
all of you. Thank you very
Glad
much.
you're all right.
Yeah,
all of you.
exactly.
Thank you very much.